Good morning and welcome back to Chassidus Before Coffee. Today we're going to continue to delve into this mimer to try to understand why the Jewish people had to be placed in the land of Egypt and be planted there in order for some addition that will come out of it. What exactly is that? So the Rebbe is going to delve further into this idea. To explain and bring to light the reason why specifically the Jewish people were planted in the land of Israel, in the land of Egypt, in order that the Jews should expand and grow and blossom. That's the actual meaning of bud and blossom, right? We have to. The Rebbe is going to take from the Alter Rebbe, from a mimer that he said, but mimer hamasik lahavin shel hadvarim. That's the first words of the mimer, the opening line. Sheyesh sham hesber amak umatuk. There's over there a very beautiful and sweet explanation. With regard to what it says in the beginning of Tanya. That what does it say in the beginning of Tanya? Shemos in the name of the Zohar, ala pasuk Vayipach B'apav Nishmas Chaim. It says that by Adam in Bereshis, it says that God blew into his nostrils nefesh, a soul of life. So this is a very famous pasuk. In the beginning of Tanya, it talks about it. It says that God blew. The difference between blowing versus vayipach, blowing versus just breath, is breathing doesn't take a lot of energy. Blowing takes immense energy. Right? There's extreme energy that's needed to blow. And the idea that's mentioned in Tanya is that obviously if it were saying that God blew, it's extreme energy that went into creating the human soul, the human being that we have today. It says, from deep within he blew. From his innermost he blew. The Koyal and Shema Yisrael is referring to the souls of the Jewish people, came from the innermost aspects of God. And he explains over there in that mimer, he explains that from within, deep within, what's it talking about? It's higher than any type of refinement, birurim. It's from way up high. Because notwithstanding the fact that the birurim are also coming from a very high level. It says that in Chachma, the level of wisdom, that's where the birurim come from. This is not the revealed aspects of Chachma. This is the hidden parts of Chachma, which is the higher level. Which is in Arich. Again, more internal versus or Arich and Anpin. Anyway, Hareze Kasher im Mechinas Haratzain. This is connected with the level of will, the will of the king, the will of Hashem. Okay, so just to Shehu Bein Erech L'Gabe Atzmus. Atzmus is a reference to God at the highest level, which we cannot comprehend properly, but it's Atzmus. We just say the essence. Ratzain is the will of Hashem. Mitzvahs, for example, are when we do a mitzvah, we're fulfilling the will of Hashem. Will is something that plays into every aspect, but it's independent to some extent of Chachma, Bina, Das, and each one of them, the will comes and merges together and plays a role. But the will of God, as we can understand from human will, is not it's what supercharges things. When you really want something, you go and get it. That want, that will, is what supercharges things. When you don't have a will, you could be the smartest guy in the world, but you're not going to be the greatest student and learn the most because there's no will, there's no desire. So that will is what powers things. And it's obviously it's a very high level in spirituality. A godliness is the concept of God's will, right? It's that supercharging power. So this idea of in Chachma, there's birurim, there's refinements within Chachma. This is coming from the hidden aspects of Chachma, the concealed parts of Chachma. This is tied to the will. Which we said is incomparable to Atzmos, the essence of God. It's much, much, much lower. In order to, so how did Hashem essentially create will? Where does will come from? It's so much lower than God, than the essence of God. How does will come? Through many, many contractions. There had to be, and it had to be, well, it doesn't say many contractions. It says through the contraction of God's essence, that's how there's an ability to have will. Now, let's understand the will. You can understand this concept even using your own intellect. It's known, the question of the philosophers and the hakira, the people who are involved in asking questions for a living. How can you say that we have a prayer that says Yehi Ratzain? May it be God's will. Seemingly, when you say may it be God's will, it's a scenario of change. That God forbid, oh, look at that, we got an alarm in the background. That there's the Indian of give me 1 second, I'm going to turn off the alarm in the background because it's going to probably disturb. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. Seemingly, if you say, may it be your will, God, it's like that God could change. That before you started praying, God's will was one way. And through my prayers, God changes his mind. Has a different opinion afterwards. And that seems to be like what, God doesn't know what he's talking about. We have to also understand, in general, the idea of the will above, that it makes a pleasurable fragrance for me when you do my will. The idea of ratzain, of the will, seems to only be relevant to a man below, because a person's missing something. And fulfilling my will fills it, right? I need more money. Okay, that's my will. That's the motivator. And then when I get it, it fills my desires, what I need. Okay. However, by God, you can't say that. There's no such thing as God needs something. He has everything, right? God is everything. It's a good question. To understand this, the is a creation made by the Creator, just like which is like the light of the Ratzin, the energy of the will, just like he creates the Chachma, the light of the Chachma. And since this is what is created from Atmos, from essence of God, from God who creates, it's obvious that it's incomparably lower than Atmos. And it comes through the contracting of Atmos, of godliness. However, the source of the souls of the Jewish people that were blown from the innards of godliness, from the innermost, the Neshamas Yisrael, the souls of the Yidden, are higher than Ratzin. And this is why the souls of the Jewish people are higher than Torah mitzvahs. It's a medrash, as the medrash explains. There were 7 things that preceded the creation of the world. Torah of Yisrael, amongst them were the Torah and the Yidden, the Jewish people. And within those 7, the Jewish people came before Torah. How do we know that? Because in the Torah it says, command the Yidden, speak to the Jewish people, the Bnei Yisrael. Only after there were the souls of the Jewish people, then you can have the idea of the Torah. Because Torah mitzvahs have a relationship with will. They're connected to will. The whole idea of Torah is to separate from what is pure and what is impure. What the bird, the animal you could eat, and the animal you can't eat. This is the idea of refinement, which is connected with Ratzin, will. And the fact being and however, the Neshama Yisrael are higher than Ratzin. Because coming from the innermost aspect of godliness. Give me a second again. This alarm, we're going to have to move it far away because it keeps on going off and I don't know how to shut it off properly. Give me 1 second. Okay. Just put it in the right place. Next to my son's ear. His alarm could be next to him. Not next to us here. And I'm back. Okay. So the Torah mitzvahs are coming just from the will, and the Neshama Yisrael are higher than there. Because they're coming from the innermost of the Eibishter, of Atmos. The idea of when he blew from his innards, gets specifically said about the Jewish Neshamas, the Neshamas Yisrael. The way they are enclosed in a body. Why? In order that they should come down into this world, there has to be a great holding back. Has to be a lot of power. Maybe as it brings the mashal, the analogy of a returning light, bouncing back, right? Someone takes a stone, throws it really hard against the wall. that it returns, it comes back to the person who threw it. Well, think about a bullet, or ricocheting, I think it's called, right? When a bullet bounces back at a person, God forbid, it shoots at something. If it has a bounce power that hits the thing and could bounce back, I believe. Why does it come back so strong back? Because however strong you threw it at the wall, that's how strong it comes back. It comes back with more strength. Not more strength than you threw it, but comes back strong as well. Based on how hard you threw it, that's how much further back it comes. Likewise, by the souls of the Jewish people, this idea of blown with his mouth, which is much greater strength coming from the innards. It's specifically when the soul comes down into this world, to being clothed in a physical body in this physical world. There's nothing lower than this physical world. And through us being balanced into this world, we come back to the Atzmos essence, which is from where we come. And this helps us understand, again, we're going to finish it off tomorrow, but this helps us understand, obviously, why we were put into Egypt, just like the soul was thrown into this world, and in order to have a greater benefit, that is essentially what he's explaining from what it explains in Tanya, of the soul being blown into the person. And yeah, that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day, and sorry for all the disturbances. And Mashiach now.